What are you doing? That anxiety, when you scream, you are actually, it's survival mode. You're removing some anxiety. It doesn't have to be either this or that. Yoga is a lifestyle. Yoga is just how you live. It's a way of being. If you're feeling sad, you don't open your arms. You shut down. You become smaller. And with yoga, even by going inhale, you're taking a space around you. You're opening out your aura. What are we doing in our bodies? Some people are not detoxing at all, but like either you're not even detoxing your physical self, but don't we also need to detox emotionally? Even for people pleasing, that I'm not able to say no. So the neck stiffness. To be a people pleaser, your neck starts to become tighter. Where she was in a small room, they came from behind her and they closed her mouth and they ripped her. She's trying to breathe, but she's not able to breathe. So can you imagine the trauma that happened on a physical thing has taken it into a body where she cannot breathe? It's a prime example of the mind-body connection.
Welcome to Unmasked by Skin Yoga. This is Jagriti, and today we have a very happy guest with us. It's Sunaina Rekhi. She is a powerful person with grace and grit. She is a mind-body yoga therapist, a somatic healer, and a UN yoga representative. Her work does not just involve movement. It involves emotional release and healing. So let's hear from her and take all the information that she is here to share with us today. Hi, Sunaina. Thank you so much.
Namaste, Jagriti. Thank you for creating this beautiful space.
Thank you
For us and our audience. So thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. So tell me, what do you do and why do you do what you do?
I think what I do, I've been doing yoga for the last 18 years. I'm a mind-body therapist, like you said. I work a lot with emotions through the physicality. Because sometimes I feel that if you are just working with emotions through your brain or mind, it can be a very difficult process. But it's easier to work with your emotions through something that's very tangible. And that's your body. You know, and I think I started doing what I do because I was going through a lot of pain. Emotional pain, physical pain. And when I was doing yoga, it was very alignment-based yoga. And then I changed that to the feeling. Like I feel that when I became a somatic healer, what is somatic yoga? It's really feel. So I started feeling my emotions, my body, and I started really working on myself and it started helping me. You know? So I think that's what started me off with this.
And were you always this energetic? Because, you know, since the time you've entered, you know, you're like, you're a ball of energy. So have you always been like this? Or do you think practicing yoga gives you this kind of, you know, inherent happiness?
I think you are also born with certain characteristics, certain behaviors. I could never have been just a very quiet person. I've never been that. I've always had the energy. I've always felt very excited, even about the smallest of things.
How nice. How nice.
I love it. I feel like a kid in myself because whatever I see, I'm like, wow. Wow. So I think it's always been inherent, but yoga has created much more positivity within me. It's blessed me with energy that never stops.
Oh, how nice. How lovely. Please, we want to know all about it. So starting, what exactly is vagus nerve and why is it also called the wavering nerve?
So the vagus nerve is you have a lot of nerves in your cranial system. So it's the 10th nerve out of 12 cranial nerves. Okay? It is the longest nerve that goes through the brain stem all the way. That's why it's wandering. All the way to your gut. Okay, so it can go through your face, your heart, your chest, your digestive organs, all of that, and it finishes at your gut. Okay, so the vagus nerve helps you relax your body. So that's what it does. It helps you rest and digest.
Okay. Now, how does the vagus nerve impact our mental and physical being? Like you just mentioned that it helps you digest and it also helps you regulate your emotions better. Like these are so different things. Like emotions are here, digestion is here. How is this one nerve doing all of this?
Our brain is made up of the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Our sympathetic nervous system is fight, flight, or freeze response.
Yes.
Right? So if something really happens to you, say you're in an ATM and you're there in the night and say 4 men walk in and they close the door.
Yeah.
Now what will your body go through?
Yeah.
It's gone, right? Now you're under fear.
Yeah.
You have fear. Now you have 3 options. You can either try to run. Okay, so what will happen if you try to create flight? You're running. The blood will circulate down your legs. Right? The blood will move to your legs because you need to run as fast as you can. Right? Or you will decide, I want to fight. So the blood will run to your arms and your legs because you need to hit or kick. Right? Or it will go into freeze, meaning the 4 men have come in.
Okay.
And you're frozen.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Now this is a more hectic 4 people coming in, but this is happening every day of our lives. Suddenly there's a meeting, you will have butterflies in your stomach. Yes?
Yeah, true.
If suddenly something else is happening, there's anxiety. Oh my God, the time. I'm late. I need to get this done. There's anxiety, right? Your heart starts to feel that beating, right? All this is your fight, flight, freeze response. Now, what's happening is your body is always feeling that it's in survival mode. So you're never actually resting. And when you're not resting, you're not digesting.
You're creating stress in your body.
You're creating a lot of stress in your body. And I feel even for me, I'm all the time moving and trying to move into the parasympathetic because we have so much work. A lot of the day, I'm also in my sympathetic nervous system. Okay, get this done, get this done, get this done. Now a child, now this, now that. So the vagus nerve, as it moves around, when you stimulate that nerve, it starts to move you into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest system.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay. And what are some effective natural techniques to stimulate or activate the vagus nerve daily?
Oh, that is beautiful. So I do this daily.
Yeah, tell me.
I think because the vagus nerve is moving from the brain, right? It's moving onto your face. So either you're doing pressure points on your face. There are many different pressure points on your face which can relax you. So even right now, if we do this, so do this. So just press, create pressure here.
Yeah.
Just close your eyes and place pressure here.
It feels so good.
And the more you do that, can you see? The brain has automatically just moving. Is moving into the rest. Is moving into relaxing your body.
It is. But it's also painful.
Yeah, because you're holding a lot of stress here. Okay? Or you press your temples. Or your jaw, this here. The jaw holds a lot of tension. Because when we are tense, what do? We do this. We clench.
Yeah.
So if you open your mouth, you'll feel this. So open and close your mouth, you'll start to release. So do and out. You're releasing. And ear massage. Pull the ears. Pull the ears. Just keep pulling the ears. Oh,
Good. It feels so good.
I love it. I keep pulling my ears to relax myself.
Wow.
Right? Or you can even put your finger inside if you don't have long nails. Or you close it here and move up and down. Really create some pressure. Or these 2 index fingers behind the ear and here, like this. Oh, I'm already
going in the rest.
My whole body moves into a lot of rest feeling.
It makes you feel so relaxed.
Like neck rolls. Yeah, because the cranial nerve, the vagus nerve is moving through your neck. So when you do neck rolls, like making big circles with your nose, this will start to move you into the rest and digest. There are many things. So these are a few of the things that
And the people
you can do at any time, wherever you are, right? You're sitting in a car, you're doing anything. You can just really try to move into the rest and digest.
Oh, interesting. And this will help people digest better, like be better.
Because when you're relaxed, everything is better.
Yeah, true.
You think better. Otherwise, you have a lot of brain fog. You'll start to think better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It works.
Okay, amazing. And can yoga or breath work directly tone the vagus nerve? Yes, like could you describe how?
Oh my God, the breath is a big, 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 big part of relaxing. So when you take an inhale, take one more inhale. Make the exhale really long. Because the exhale is removing that stale, toxic energy from your body.
Okay.
More, longer. Keep removing it. So after you do the exhale, so say let's do inhale. One more inhale. Now exhale. One more exhale. As soon as you're doing the exhale, a little bit more when you take out,
Just empty
it empties it out.
Okay.
And the breath starts to empty it out because the breath is that connection between, the only connection between your brain and body is the breath.
Okay.
So when you breathe, say we do box breathing. So I would tell my audience also do inhale for 4 counts, hold the breath for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold the breath for 4 counts. So let's do one round with everyone and then you can continue this for 5 minutes. So you inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a box. 4 hold, 4 exhale, 4 hold.
Okay.
So this will really help you as well.
Okay, interesting. Now tell me, what is the difference between exhaling from nose and exhaling from mouth?
Do it.
Do.
Now try to do. There's more that comes out of your mouth, especially when you're removing a lot of anxiety. Because sound removes anxiety. Sound.
That's why we scream it out.
I was just going to say this. That's why sometimes you're angry
Yeah.
and you go, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing? That anxiety, when you scream,
Yeah.
you are actually, it's survival mode. You're removing some anxiety.
Interesting.
When you're going through panic, what do you go? You don't go.
True.
The first thing to remove, then you can go into the nose.
Okay.
Breath.
This is why.
But the first thing you do this, right?
Yeah.
And why do you do this? Because actually your body is holding whatever is here. Your heart. Say you had a heartbreak. Right? You had a heartbreak.
Yeah.
Everybody has.
Yeah.
You've had grief. Don't you say, my heart break. My heart is broken.
Yeah.
My heart is feeling sad. And what do you do when you notice a person with a heartbreak? Automatically they'll do this.
Yeah.
Because that grief is actually gotten stored. The unspoken feeling. So many times you're in a relationship and you're not able, your heart has gotten broken, but now you still want to tell that person something, right?
Yeah.
But you're not able to tell it. So it's unspoken. It's unspoken communication, which is making you, it's holding it, it's suppressed. So
it's important to release it.
Yeah, and we get dependent and we always think, जब मैं उस लड़के से बात करूंगी ना मैं तो बोलूंगी. या मैं उस लड़की से बात करूं, like for anyone, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. You have to learn.
How to mend your own heart.
You have to learn it.
Yeah. And through yoga and breath work, it's possible to release that pain.
Big time. It's complete.
Okay.
Because yoga teaches you mindfulness. It teaches you awareness. It teaches you acceptance. To accept where you are. And that comes, say you're practicing yoga, and suddenly you're like, oh, it was all okay. But you've been in a position, you're slow, you're moving into something. And I've had so many people who just suddenly cry. And they had no idea that this was lying there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It removes, but they also learn to become aware and accept.
Interesting.
So it's layered, you know.
Okay. But how can somebody tell that their vagus nerve is underactive or dysfunctional? Like, how would I know that, that nerve isn't working in me?
Say you're emotionally reacting much more than the situation requires you to react.
Much more.
Much more. Okay. So say somebody says something to you and you're like,
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, right? Your nervous system is not regulated there. You're reacting much more than the situation requires you to react. That's one.
Okay.
Shallow breathing is one. Chronic pain in your body is one. A lot of inflammation in your body where you're feeling a lot of pain in your body.
Yeah.
You're not able to sleep in the night. You're getting insomnia. You're overthinking. That's one. All these. Numbness. Where something has happened and something deep has happened and you're like, oh, something has happened. But you're not actually emotional about it. You've become detached to it. You've detached your emotion completely for survival.
So all of these things that you just mentioned, I see it's present in a lot of people already.
Yes.
In your experience, since you work with so many people,
yes.
Do you think that a lot of people have dysfunctional vagus nerve?
We all have a dysfunctional vagus nerve.
Really? Okay.
And I don't feel healing is a linear place where you say, oh, I did this practice today, my vagus nerve has healed.
Oh.
It's a layered practice and it's an everyday practice.
Just like how you brush your teeth.
It's just like brushing your teeth. So well put. It is that. It's every day, a little bit when you become mindful. Like even cold water and splashing your face will relax your vagus nerve. Like today, when I went in for a bath, I used hot water and I suddenly moved the water to cold water.
Yeah.
Then I moved it to hot water. Then I moved it to cold water.
Yeah.
So my body was moving into relax because it's a shock.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it really relaxes your vagus nerve. I also do a lot of barefoot walks on the grass. I am not joking, Jagriti. When that walk, and I'm always barefoot.
Yeah.
When I'm doing yoga, when I'm in nature, I swim every day. I do yoga every day. When I jump into that water, oh my God. Don't you feel when you go to a beach?
Yeah, of course. Of course. It's so.
Or don't you feel when you're with 5 friends? Like today when I came in before the podcast, we were all laughing.
Yeah.
That is relaxing your vagus nerve. Laughter, being with friends, talking about stuff, going out in the night. It's not just one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yoga and breath work has been the biggest savior of my life.
So I grew up on a farm.
Oh my God.
I've like literally on a farm. We had cows and we grew our own vegetables for the longest time. So I know the value of nature, and I completely hear you when you say that what relaxes you, but not a lot of people have that luxury today at all. But they can find that through yoga and through breath work.
Correct.
And they can learn and experience that freedom.
Yes.
Every single day.
Every single day you can do something or the other.
Yeah.
Movement of the body is just very, very important.
Yeah. How long does it take to learn this practice for, somebody a college going kid, for example, and I think that's a good time for them to, because they've experienced most of the emotions by then and they probably have tried everything. And then they're like, okay, let me just see if, these silly things work, for example.
Yeah.
How much time does it take for them to get this tool?
It's so easy. You can get it in a second. Like right now, if I'm telling you, pull your ears, they've got it.
Oh. Okay.
If I tell you to breathe in the box breathing, you've understood it.
No, but isn't there a step-by-step process?
There's no step-by-step process. Like if I tell you we are on the chair and you're feeling a lot of grief in your heart, and I tell you just with your chair,
open up your chest.
Breathe. It's not like you need to go through the ears, then you need to go through your heart. No.
Okay.
There are different parts of the body and every part of the body is holding different emotions.
Okay.
So that's a very interesting science.
Yeah.
But every day is a learning. I'm still learning. Right? Yeah. But every day you can just do that practice and you're done. Like, because you will feel it immediately.
No, I feel so relaxed and so awakened, by just doing these, like even for less than a minute.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's an everyday practice and you can practice it like when I'm teaching it. It's not like, again, it's not linear. It's not like you have to finish this session, then that, because I'm not teaching you the hardest yoga poses.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you poses which you can feel in those poses.
This is definitely feel. This is like
feel.
Yeah.
You feel relaxed.
What is this called? Is it called
somatic?
Somatic healing.
Somatic healing.
Or somatic yoga.
Same thing.
Okay.
Yoga is heal.
Okay. And you were talking about, our body storing trauma. Like, what are the different types of trauma that people may be carrying? First, physical, emotional, or generational.
People are carrying trauma all over their bodies. Okay. So I still remember this line when my dad passed away. I was 14 and my mom was under a lot of grief and a lot of depression. And she told me, she goes, Sunaina, Papa's memory, the feeling is not in my heart. It's not in my brain. It's in every single cell of my body. And this was before, I'm 14 years old. I don't know anything, but that line stayed with me. And whatever I went through in my life, in my journey with the divorce, with everything, with being a single parent, all of that, for example, my spine went. My full spine, disc herniations, ruptures, my whole spine just broke. Because spine, what is your spine for your body? It's your support. Yeah. So when now you have let go of that support, you are feeling unsupported.
Yeah. And that reflects.
And that is your emotional, and that will reflect on your body. So it is going to hit your support structure. Then suddenly my neck broke fully. Because suddenly I had so much responsibility, to figure myself out, financial responsibility, emotional responsibility. I didn't have a man to take care of me. It's not like, I got out of a relationship, let's find a guy and figure it out. I did it on my own. And then having everything, it was a lot. And there was so much responsibility on my shoulders that I would be just moving. I would be trying to remove the stress and the responsibility in the shoulders, the heart, the grief, that anxiety I would feel, And so many times I'll be like, I do that even through the day. So another practice which I would like to tell everyone is humming. Humming creates a vibration in your body which really relaxes your vagal tone. The vagal tone that you have, it relaxes it. So it's like, let's do it together. Let's do 3 together.
Let's do it.
Okay. So just close your eyes and let's inhale and exhale. Make that humming bee sound with your mouth. Create the vibration in your lips. Beautiful. How are you feeling?
So relaxed.
Just 3 rounds.
So relaxed.
Imagine you do 25 rounds. What will you feel?
Amazing.
It's automatically going to move you.
Yeah. So these practices, people know about it. What makes it so unattractive, or I don't know, why would somebody not do it every single day on their own? They would go to the gym every single day, but why wouldn't they practice these simple yoga, stuff, which is so effective?
Because they don't want it that bad.
Okay. So do you think one has to hit the rock bottom?
No, not just that. Like, okay, so I'll give 2 examples about this. Like, I had a girl who had come, we were a lot of girls, and I just met her and she kept saying, Sunaina, tell me about weight loss. I want to lose weight. Okay. And I looked at her and I was like, firstly, if you wanted to lose weight, you would have already done that. It would have already been done. Second, since the last 2 days, I'm only seeing you sitting. There's no movement. I'm seeing you eating and sitting. Right now, she was talking to me while I was in the pool. I'm like, I'm swimming, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but you're sitting outside, you're not doing anything and talking to me about weight loss. Yeah. And I told her too, I said, do you really want it? She was, yeah. I said, no, you don't. Because why are you eating the way you're eating? Why are you not exercising? Why are you not moving? You don't really want it. You are just talking. What is the point?
I hear you. Okay, but I also have met people who really want it, but they just don't know, or they just can't take the first step.
That is a mindset.
Yeah.
That is what I was saying.
Yeah.
So if you really want it, then you would have figured out your mindset, and there are a billion things on YouTube. It's really not hard to find. It's really not hard to figure it out.
True.
It's not hard to go to somebody either.
Yeah.
It's not difficult.
Yeah.
Right? If you really want something, you will manifest that. The path will draw itself to you.
They just don't want it enough.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you want to release your stress, if you want to release your anxiety, if you want to become emotionally balanced, if you really want it, you will do it. But if you're so busy in the day-to-day life,
and comfortable in your own setting of eating and sitting and chilling, then it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. You have to manifest that and need it or want it bad enough. You need to want to be growing as a human being. I think yoga is a personal transformation. Do you really want to become and grow as a better human being? Because when you're relaxed, or when your nervous system is regulated, or when you're emotionally balanced, you are creating that energy field and you are moving it out there to a billion people.
I agree. You change your entire life.
And you're changing theirs also. You're changing each relationship you're having with everybody.
I agree with you. Now, tell us, where does body commonly store trauma? For example, we hear like our hips hold grief. Yeah. What are the other places that are?
So your hips are actually the junk drawer of your emotions.
Okay.
They hold all the junk of your emotions. Like we were talking earlier about the fight, flight, freeze response. Now think about it. If you are under stress or anxiety or fear, are you relaxing, or is your body going to tighten?
Yeah.
Now, when you tighten, your hips will tighten, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or you need to run and a lion is running after you. You're not going to be relaxed. Your whole body is going to tense up.
Yeah.
The tension is happening a lot here.
Yeah.
So your hips are storing that tension.
Yeah.
Then the tension is happening in your neck and shoulders. Then it's holding jaw. The jaw holds a lot of tension. Okay. Your neck holds a lot of tension. Your shoulders hold responsibilities, overburdens. They say now the world is on your shoulders. When you shrug your shoulders, the world moves, because the whole world is sitting on our shoulders. So to be able to release that, neck is a lot that, even for people pleasing, that I'm not able to say no. So the neck stiffness.
Okay.
To be a people pleaser, your neck starts to become tighter.
Oh, I thought neck was because of the screen time.
That's the physical manifestation.
Oh, okay.
The emotional manifestation is
So
that
does translate to that.
everything is a physical and an emotional relationship, right? It's both.
Right. It can be both.
So, no, it not can be. It is both.
It's both.
It is both.
So if somebody has a stiff neck, so they are holding the emotion.
Yeah, because why is the responsibility suddenly hitting just or the screen time? Okay, you're like this.
Yeah.
Right. But also if you're having so much screen time like this, that means you also have a lot of burden, right? You're also working a lot. Right? Then stomach, if you feel like they say, nah, I have butterflies in my stomach. Right? Like there's so much anxiety also. Suddenly, if you're feeling a lot in your stomach, you will feel either very constipated or diarrheated because the emotions are getting stuck in your gut, in the gut lining.
Interesting.
Your legs, if your legs are getting cramps, sciatica, the pain, the tight hamstrings. Why? Because this is your back body. This is your hamstring. It's the back of your legs. You can't see them.
Right.
That means we are stuck in our past. The moment yoga and you start working on even opening, like I teach on, I'll be teaching, say, this is how you open your hamstrings or work with sciatica, right?
Yeah.
You might be thinking I'm working with sciatica and you're thinking very physical.
Yeah.
But on a deeper level is working on your emotions. You're starting to let go of your past. The moment this starts to open, you're letting go of your past.
Interesting.
You know?
So what about somebody, a lot of people have knee pain.
Yes.
What does that reflect?
Again, movement. Not able to move too much in life. Not able to move in all directions.
Oh, so you feel stuck. That's
You
why
feel stuck.
Knee pain.
Yes.
Interesting. This is very funny, but every time I'm like, if my husband gets a little anxious, he has to use the loo immediately.
See?
So I think,
it is exact that because he is getting it all here.
Oh, interesting.
Some people might get very anxious and their throat will clog up.
Oh, and they can't speak.
Yeah. Or they'll have a lot because, and they're not realizing it, but where is it that you were not communicating? You are not able to express yourself. And this happened to me. I'd gone to Bali, Jagriti, and I'd go to these massage people and they'll be like, madam, like, where do we massage? I was like, massage my throat. They're like, ma'am, we don't do these kind of things here. We can't kill you. I'm like, and then they're like doing this. I'm like, no, harder. They're like, no, I can't go harder. I'm like, please, harder. Because at that time I was going through this separation. I felt this lack of communication. Like I wasn't able to tell my truth. I needed to talk. But I was holding it and this throat went ballistic. Like it was really paining.
Oh my God.
And it was so much emotional because now I'm so mindful at it because having chronic pain, I'm so mindful of myself. So I so thank God that because he gave me the pain, I became a better teacher. Earlier, people would come to me and say, we have a slip disc. And I would be very intellectual and yogi about, oh, you know what, do this back bend, do this. Okay, how can you? Now having this back bend, I'm like, wait.
There's something more to it.
Yeah, or listen, is it hurting? Otherwise, I'll be like, okay, go into Bhujangasana, go a little bit more. Now I'm like, can you do it? Is it hurting? Okay, squeeze. Because I'm feeling that with them.
Got it. Interesting. So interesting. Are there any specific yoga postures or sequences that help in trauma release for areas like hips or spine, as you said?
Hips, so pigeon pose, child's pose. Like even right now, because I'm sitting here and I don't have a mat.
Yeah.
So even like just being here, sitting, and you take your 1 foot over like this, okay? And you just lean over your hip. Oh my God.
Butterfly?
And the whole hip will open here.
Okay.
You feeling it? Right? So folding forward. And then do it with the other leg. So all these are hip postures, butterfly pose, cat and cow. Really the inhale, exhale. So even when you're sitting and you go inhale, exhale, round the body, the whole spine, the movement of the spine is releasing the stress and tension. The twist, just on your chair. Yeah. I do this in the car as well.
Feels so good.
Oh,
I have a lot of
it feels so good, right?
It does.
It's like you're wringing, like how you wring the water from the clothes, the wet clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're wringing the stress out of their spine, like this.
But okay, so when I do these, I feel like, wow, this is amazing. This was amazing. When I turn, I can hear some cracks, but I don't feel like I have trauma. But if this happens, does it mean that I'm holding on to trauma?
But what is trauma? Trauma doesn't have to be that one big thing.
Okay. Stress?
Trauma can be anything. And trauma can happen at any age.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, of course, childhood trauma has created some ground thing in your body, right? But it can happen at different places. Abuse, heartbreak, children anxiety, husband fighting, work. These all can create some trauma, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So it's not like we don't have it. We all have it. Because our bodies are the maps. Our body is mapping our mind. Because you're also very positive, soft, calm person, you're not, but it's there also.
So it's important to practice it.
Can you believe if I tell somebody, take your leg, okay, and bring it behind your head?
Yeah.
People will be like this. Now I can go like this and like go back, okay? But I'm not like thinking it, right? Yeah. But if you were under general anesthesia, your body is relaxed. And you'll actually be able to put your leg behind your head because it is that relaxed. So if we are thinking, oh, we are so relaxed, we are okay. That means there's still stuff. It can't be because life is a challenge.
For everybody.
Right? So how can there not be a trauma?
Okay, so you mean that, so daily stress is gonna keep happening to all of us.
Yeah.
Our body is gonna store it in different places. Like, put it in this bucket, this tension.
Correct.
Here.
Correct.
So it is our job that with the help of these exercises, we can keep releasing and emptying that bucket.
Yes.
And with time, we'll learn how to deal with them.
Correct. Like with yoga, with breath work, with meditation, silence.
Yeah.
Mondana. It starts to movement and stillness.
So interesting, right?
It's both.
Okay. Now, can trauma be stored in places like armpits or chest? What's the connection with lymphatic stagnation?
So there are too many lymph nodes in your armpits.
Okay.
And your chest here. So a lot of stuff like, I do a lot of this.
Yeah.
Tap.
Yeah.
Tap in the armpit. It starts to release. Because your armpits also hold a lot of depression. They hold a lot of depression. So even when I'm not stopping only, I'm really enjoying it. But they hold a lot of depression because if you think about it, something happens, you do this, right? You're not like...
Yeah.
If you're feeling sad, you don't open your arms. You shut down. You become smaller. You don't become bigger ever. And with yoga, even by going inhale, and this, you're holding space. You're taking a space around you. You're opening out your aura.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
This really helps. Even like moving your arms back and forth will start to activate your lymph. And it'll start to flow. So if you're feeling emotionally closed, your lymphatic flow will become much slower.
Okay. So cool, because a lot of people are feeling depressed these days, anxious, anxiety, depression, sad. Can they practice these and feel better?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, 100,000%.
Oh, wow.
Because you have to just... And it doesn't matter if it's not on the yoga mat, it could be in the car, it could be on your bed, it could be anywhere. But even that one practice, the two practices, you can already come into some presence because it starts to connect you. Otherwise, hum sare bikhre hue hain. We are like, our mind is here, our body is here. We are not able to join them together.
Yeah.
So definitely, I'm a big advocate that it helps a lot.
The Japanese culture, they have a lot of lymphatic massages.
Yes.
People follow it a lot.
Correct.
Could you share some, lymphatic massages with people that could help?
Yeah. So it would be a lot of like this movement of the neck going down.
Okay.
Just as you're massaging, move it towards your heart.
Okay.
This, like this. All the lymph, underarms, massaging, even hitting. Okay. Even your thighs, massaging in your inner thighs.
Okay.
This holds a lot of lymph, and people don't do this. That's when they get bigger thighs. Inner thighs become bigger because it's holding a lot of stress here and lymph. So massaging this part here,
Interesting. Okay.
it's
Okay.
very good.
Oh, wow.
Even this heart, like even just tapping here,
Yeah, we don't
it
do
starts
this.
to remove.
Yeah, no,
And this can be done anytime, like
weights.
that's also important. That's strength training, but it doesn't have to be either this or that. Yoga is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yoga is just how you live. It's a way of being.
Yeah.
Then you do whatever. You want to go running, you want to play a sport, you want to go to the gym,
Yeah.
whatever you enjoy.
Yeah.
But yoga becomes a lifestyle for you.
Yeah. No, it becomes a self-cleansing tool.
Correct.
It brings you, it grounds you, brings you to your center.
Yeah.
Which again will take you to the gym and will take you to play other sports and make you in the right headspace so that you can take care of your family.
Correct. It's self-love, no? Yoga is, you start moving in towards yourself.
Yeah, true. Okay, what is somatic healing and how does it differ from traditional yoga or therapy?
So somatic healing is basically you're using movement,
Okay.
you're using your breath, and you're using your nervous system.
Okay.
Right? So what happens with therapy is like you're talking to a therapist.
True.
Right? And what happens with yoga, it's quite alignment based.
Yeah, true.
But somatic healing is a feeling. You are learning how to feel your body.
Okay.
So through slower therapeutic movements, you start to remove all the garbage for so many years. Don't we clean our house? Don't we clean our kitchen? Can you imagine if we just keep that dustbin for days and days? It's going to smell, right? What are we doing in our bodies? Some people are not detoxing at all, but like either you're not even detoxing your physical self of all the food that we've eaten and all of that. That's a detox, right?
Yeah.
But don't we also need to detox emotionally?
Yeah, we do. Never heard of it, but we definitely need.
It's an emotional detox.
Okay. What is somatic healing best suited for?
It is I think somatic healing is for everyone, like we said, that we are all going through life every day for the first time.
Is any age group that people can start?
Anyone, at any time and every time.
Okay.
People who are also grieving, it's also trauma informed, right? People who are going through a lot of emotional upheaval, mental challenges, even people with a lot of chronic pain, right? A lot of people who have mental anxiety, stress, the big D word, which is depression, which can be it can really take a toll on you, dude. It's a very hard one to, cannot even understand when somebody's going through that. It's a lot. And they don't even want to get out of bed. And it's easy to say breathe. At that point, you don't even want to do that, But
unfortunately, we all know somebody, in our family or close circle who has or is suffering from depression. And it breaks our heart. And we all think that as
very
we
heavy.
tell them,
Yeah.
with so many of us experiencing neck and shoulder strain from screens, what are the few practices to release that tension? You've already mentioned that it's not just the screens, it's also other trauma that you're holding in that spot. What are the other exercises apart from making the round before the neck?
Holding your arms just like this. Okay. Hold your wrist or your arms.
Okay.
And just inhale, head back. So you're also opening your throat.
Okay.
And then exhale, chin down. So you're stretching out the back of your neck. So you do this every time before a yoga practice also.
Yeah.
I start to do this a lot.
Okay.
It releases my neck in the left, right. This is very good. But there are hundreds of exercises just for the neck.
This feels so good. I think I have a lot of trauma that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, it's not even that. Yeah, sometimes just so much anxiety. Say you're doing a podcast,
Yeah.
there's a timeline,
Yeah.
there's a limit, there's so much going on. That also just pushes into your body, no?
Yeah.
And then we are not processing it. We are letting it just be and saying, okay, we are okay now.
Next.
What's next? Okay, the next day. But we haven't processed that only. We haven't done something on the mat or just sitting silently. We've not processed it. We're just moving from task to task to task to task.
Yeah.
And it's just unprocessed and it's just holding it all here.
Or this one, or depression, or some grief. It's just holding. So when you deal with people on a daily basis, right? You teach them. What are the most common trauma that people are holding on to these days?
I think a lot of anxiety is happening.
Okay.
A lot of anxiety and of course a lot of emotion, like family relationship wise. There's a lot
Okay.
that's happening.
Yeah.
Like unmet needs, expectations which are not being met at all, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that and a lot of burden because today, even with social media, even with everything, it's like, even for me, it's like, I'm like, took so much work. Okay, I also have to take care of my daughter who's 16. I also have to take care of my 2 baby dogs. I also have to maintain my house. I have to take care of my staff help. I have to also travel. I also have work. And I think everybody's going through that, right? Everybody has so many buckets. And every day, even on social media, one new app is getting done. One new thing is happening and you have to keep learning. And it's too much. Your WhatsApps, your Instagrams, your YouTube. It's too much going on.
Have you found a solution to this, and what is it?
What we've been talking about. This is the solution.
Oh, interesting. So it keeps you, like, it clears your...
I do a yoga, like, forget just only teaching.
Yeah.
My own practice is an hour and a half.
Okay.
And then throughout the day, like say I'm making tea, I'm humming. Because when you hum, just... or singing, it relaxes your vagus nerve. It resets your nervous systems.
But that's intentional because you have educated yourself
Yes.
on the benefits of humming. And then you know that I'm doing it, it's releasing it. I'm done with it.
But even if somebody doesn't know it,
Yeah.
and somebody's walking around and just humming,
Yeah. It's still going
they are already feeling calmer. They just haven't put the two together. But while they're humming, they are feeling calmer. That's why they'll keep humming. When you even chant Om,
Yeah.
Om is not a word, it's a sound. Chanting Om a few times will really relax your nervous system.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, why is it so difficult to get rid of our childhood trauma? Why does it stay so deep?
Okay, because you're not able, your logical part hasn't developed yet.
When you're a child.
It develops at the age of 14, 15. You're not developed yet.
Okay.
The logic hasn't developed yet.
Okay.
That's why when the teenager just happens, they start to lose it and the parents are screaming and shouting and saying, "Samajh nahi aa rahi hai." I'm trying to tell you, but actually samajh nahi aa rahi hai. It's not been built yet.
Okay.
How is it that every teenager behaves the same way? How is it that every young guy will always want to speed a car, really be even drunk and go high speed? It's not logical.
Yeah.
But they're doing it
Yeah.
because that's not developed yet.
Okay. Okay.
So your question again, just repeat it again. I want to say something else with it.
Why does your childhood trauma take
Yes.
so long to heal?
Yes. So this one, I want to give you an example because I felt very close to this example. So I was learning from a older teacher, prison yoga. So to go to prisons and teach yoga to the prisoners. And I've learned that,
Oh, wow.
right? But for example, say you go to the prison. I'm not going to say, okay, go into Shavasana,
Yeah.
like as if you're a dead body. You can't say that in a prison, dead body, right? Or if you're doing down dog and I try to correct a posture from behind, a person could have been raped from behind. You cannot adjust them. That trauma can come back to them. So you have to be very mindful, right, when you're teaching.
Okay.
So this lady, she gave her own example. And she said, when I was learning yoga, I went to Rishikesh and everything, but I couldn't breathe in and out through my nose.
Okay.
And every yoga studio I went to, they kept telling me, breathe in and out through your nose. Don't open your mouth. Breathe in and out through your nose. Okay? And she hadn't realized it, whatever. She started feeling uncomfortable because she wasn't able to do it. Now, she realized that she had been raped by one of her family members, where she was in a small room. They came from behind her and they closed her mouth and they raped her. She's trying to breathe, but she's not able to breathe. So can you imagine the trauma that happened on a physical thing has taken it into a body where she cannot breathe? It's a prime example of the mind-body connection. She needs to breathe like this. She can't close her mouth and breathe because she has felt closed. You see? That you go into somatic healing. You go into that because it's closed. You're closed up. The trust, all of that also takes place there. And that will not. It's too deep. The traumas when in your childhood become too deep. They stay with you for a long time. And everybody has something, because even if it's a very small thing for somebody else, for that person, they are living that trauma for that time. For them, it could be a really big thing. You can't compare somebody's trauma to somebody else's trauma and say, "Tere ko to kuch nahi hua, mere ko dekh." Everybody is living a very different life. Everybody has different things that they are feeling pain with because they are different people as well. So it will stay. Somebody who is a very sensitive child, the emotion and the trauma will stay with that sensitive child for a very long time.
With somatic healing, is it possible to heal your childhood trauma?
Yes, yes. It's all about that. And the childhood traumas, everyday traumas.
Yeah.
Trauma is also, I think that is a little bit of a misconception when the trauma means it's something big, like we talked about. Yeah. Like a trauma release doesn't have to just be, I mean, I've had people who are shaking and that trauma is coming out, or if I put them in pigeon pose, they really cry, right? Okay. But it's not just that. It doesn't have to be that big. Trauma release could also just be a sigh.
Yeah. Okay.
It should just be that moment's crying and out. Sometimes something just gets released. And it doesn't have to be this, oh my God, this dramatic thing.
Yeah, that we see on social media.
It can be a very less thing and trauma can be released.
Oh, okay. So once you release a trauma, is it possible that it can resurface again?
If you have released it fully,
yeah,
but there will always be some stagnant
things,
right?
Okay.
There'll always be something there that if somebody triggers you, now when you have released it, it will not bother you anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
Like there was this lady who told me, everyone has been putting me down. I always feel let down, especially in relationships where I always feel downgraded by my partners. And then I decided I need to put a stop to it, and I want to move more towards loving myself. And that's true, because self-love is not this wow thing when you're feeling all good and then you're trying to learn self-love. No. Self-love comes when you've gone through a lot of challenge. It's hitting the shit out of you. You need to move towards self-love to survive. Yeah. You have to. Like, you won't see a 8-year-old saying, I'm going to learn self-love.
Yeah.
Self-love, 30, 40, 20, 30, 40-year-olds are saying this. Yeah. A child is not saying that yet. Self-love is happening when a lot of challenge has been put and you're being pushed towards it. Now, this girl will tell me, now when people are downgrading or a partner, I just don't want to be in that relationship anymore. So she's really grown out of that.
Yeah.
But she's like, but I feel weird. So there's still a remnant of it now.
Okay. She's still processing it. She's still learning.
It's a lifetime. And why? Because when you're on your mat or when whatever, you are in a safe space. And now you've come for one thing and now something else comes out. Because you're in a very safe place. So you feel now in that safety, your body can relax and take out something else. Correct? So something else comes out. And some people feel like, oh my God, like, what is this? They feel overwhelmed that something else has come up and they said, but I really believe that this is the depth of healing. It's like every onion layer is taking out more wisdom within you.
Yeah.
And as you heal something that you've come with, more often than no, there's always even deeper stuff that's happening. And because you start doing yoga and breathwork and starts making you feel safe,
You're able to release.
like I'm feeling safe with you, say.
Yeah.
So I'm able to really talk to you.
Yeah.
But if I don't feel safe with you, I will not be able to talk to you.
I agree. Right.
It's as simple as that. So when you feel safe in yourself, you're able to talk to yourself. When you're not safe within yourself only, why will you try to have these conversations? They're too uncomfortable.
Yeah. But now tell me, like, if somebody's going through a chronic pain, a deadly disease, or an ongoing symptom in their body, and they think that, they listen to this and they're like, this means that there is some trauma, but they can't identify that. Is there always a correlation between a chronic disease and a deeply seated trauma?
Whatever I've experienced in my 18, 20 years, there's always a correlation.
Okay. Thank
Like there's some people whose vision starts to go down
you.
and they start like wearing specs, but like that also means that they don't want to see in front of them. Whatever they're seeing right now, they don't want to see.
They want to
So their
keep it shut.
they want to keep their eyes shut. So their eyesight starts to deteriorate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's actually very deep.
Okay. What, according to you, are the most common misconceptions around energy healing?
Misconceptions about energy healing that, what is energy? It's like this like woo-woo concept, right? But energy is your sixth sense. We don't just have 5 senses, which is see, smell, taste, listen, and touch. People talk about these 5 senses, but I feel the biggest sense is energy. When I walked into this door and I came to your studio, there was this really sweet, positive energy. Now, that's a sense, right? I have sensed that energy, right? It's come into me, right?
Yeah.
It's right there. You will go to some homes or you'll go to some places.
Yeah.
You're not liking it. You're feeling uncomfortable. It's like there is this energy in that space. Forget just people in a space. It's holding. It's holding that energy. Even with like food, processed food to fresh food, it's holding an energy. Everything is holding an energy.
Okay.
Yeah. Even through a call.
Yeah. Even talking to somebody, you can feel the energy for sure.
Correct? Yeah. So say you're very happy and you're talking to somebody and they're like, hello. Yeah. And you're like, hi. And automatically what they're doing is they're actually energy vampires. They're going to pull your energy, and by the time you put the phone down, you're like, bye. And they'll say, bye. They've taken the energy. And if you look at it, it happens to everyone. Energy is transmitting.
So it's important to protect your energy. Be around people that give positive energy only and stay out of negative places.
Yeah.
Okay. If somebody wants to make their space positive, what are the few things that
Plants.
Really?
Plants. I think nature is very, even like color. I think color is a huge one. I love that. Like even white, for example, could be very pure and clean and all that.
Yeah.
But I also like splashes of color and also your home should also reflect your personality. Right? It's your personality. You have to have your heart in it. Yeah. Everything, your linen, your towels, everything. Spoil yourself.
Yeah.
Get the best linen, get the best towels. Get the best orthopedic mattress, because actually 8 hours every night you are sleeping. You're spending more time on your bed.
Yeah.
Think about all the places that you spend and make those places really comfortable and happy places.
Right. Sure. How do you balance the scientific and spiritual side of healing in your work? And do they ever conflict?
They never conflict. They're together. Like science brings structure to something, and spirituality brings a lot of depth to something. Right? So it's together only. It's like, I feel like science and spirituality, it's like saying mind and body is different. It's as if they're not. Science and spirituality, I mean, what people are talking with neuroscience and all, our ancient yogis knew about that all along.
Exactly.
What science is saying.
I agree. And in India, we are so lucky that this knowledge, has come to us like thousands of years ago.
Correct.
It's today that people are talking about it from scientific point of view. And now, we are following because we have some data behind it. But we all knew, everything that you just spoke about for thousands of years.
Correct.
How do you practice, and what are the programs that you do, and how can people do your programs?
Okay, so I think we have our Instagram, which is my name only. Then we have YouTube, where we give longer formats. I have a lot of different programs, 10-day courses, 21-day programs, which I give to my people, because so many times there are people who really just at their own place, at home, if they're living abroad, that they can practice at their own pace. We have many different programs, like for gut health, weight loss, neck and shoulder, nervous system reset, vagus nerve reset. We have a lot of different programs.
Is it all online?
This is all. This is a website.
Okay.
You can find it on my Instagram, which is Sunaina_Rekhi.
Yes.
And the website is there only. So you can just go on my website. You'll see everything.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And do you also do it physically apart from online?
So physically, I do a lot of transformational events. I do retreats with people, which are real wellness, yoga. We talk a lot. We do a lot of counseling. We do a lot of practices. It's very beautiful.
Where can we know more about it? Your Instagram again?
On Instagram, on YouTube, on my website.
Okay. What is your website, if you could share with us?
It's sunainarekhi.exlyapp.com.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a place where all my courses are kept, one-on-ones, which is either therapy and counseling or yoga teaching or both. Some people need because I don't just do one. It is coming together only.
Yeah.
It is one.
Yeah.
Your body and your mind both need to relax for you to feel relaxed.
Completely. What's one daily practice you never skip that supports your emotional and physical clarity?
I wouldn't just say a practice, but I never skip movement. Like, I will always walk around everywhere. Even if I'm on a call, even whenever I get a chance, I won't just sit. I will stand.
Okay.
I will stand. I will move a little bit. Daily practice every day. Yoga and swimming is my everyday. Every day.
Okay.
Activities like I have the most beautiful puppies in the world. Like, I'm just waiting. Like, every day of this tour that I'm doing, I'm just waiting. When will I go out to my little babies? Something happens to my boys only when I talk about them. It's like
there's so much love.
So much love. They are very healing.
Oh,
they're the best in my life.
Oh, so cute. So happy for you.
Yeah.
So happy.
I'm so happy for me with them.
I love your energy, and I love everything that you shared with us today.
Thank you.
I hope everybody who listens to this podcast, gets into somatic healing, or at least takes, an effort to learn more about it so that they can make themselves happier, their family happier, and eventually the world around us happier.
Good.
So thank you so much for your time and for coming all the way here to do this with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.